Van Damme, Van Damme, Van Damme. Muscles. Brussels. Not those Brussels, that's better. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Van Damme. The games. Damme. Streetfighter. Timecop. Universal Soldier. Super Mario Arms? I appear to only own 3 classic Van Damme films. This is no good. And where on earth are Double Impact and Knockoff? This is DEFCON 1. I need to take myself off to my local collectible record store to see if I can find the solution. No, nothing in there, so I'm going local and second hand. Surely there's some Van Damme films amongst these shelves. They're absolutely packed to the rafters. Here we go. There's the D's, The Departed, Drive, no Double Impact.
Was that anything looking for?
I am, yeah. I'm after Double Impact.
It's not the easiest film to get.
Looking for Knockoff as well.
I don't know that one.
Not off to a great start. I'm going to have to resort to my local CEX. Yes! Found it for £3. Yeah. But what about Knockoff? I know the answer. To the car boot sale. Here we go. Knockoff for 50p. I knew I could count on the car boot. But what else is there? In hell for 50p. Well, that's looking much more definitive. I am pleased that I have got the classics back. Double Impact and Knockoff. Back to the games. The first entrance into our Van Damme spectacular is none other than the King of Fighters. No, not the King of Fighters, but Street Fighter The Movie. Based on the rather gloriously cheesy film, also starring tiny pop starlet Kylie Minogue, and that bloke from the Addams Family. And in case you had forgot this game is based on a movie, it kindly replays some of the more memorable moments for you in super high definition pixel tastiness from a bygone era. Crumbs, it really is going for it. It's like a full-blown film trailer, but with no trailer bloke man and no massive thuds or booms. That sounds like the voiceover bloke from that game Star Gladiator.
Star Gladiator.
This is the PlayStation version, so it's a far cry from the Daddy Mac arcade machine, but doesn't do too bad a job on Sony's tiny little grey revolutionary fun-time entertainment device. The colours do seem a little washed out, but mark my words, this game is a lot of fun, and if you like Street Fighter and Van Damme, you are basically in for a riotous evening of mayhem. And I can still remember some of the special moves. That's because they are exactly the same as Street Fighter 2. So if you still remember how to do those moves, this will put you in good stead for this game. Down 2 seconds, up then kick. It's not let me down. Ever. But we need to explore the arcade version, I feel, a little closer, so we can do some investigations and comparisons. Well, if it's a video promoting the works of Van Damme, it's the law that I must select Van Damme as my character. Well, he doesn't play Van Damme, he plays Guile. But he doesn't look like Guile from the old Street Fighter games. He looks like Van Damme. And who am I up against? I'm up against myself. But thankfully, there's no need to panic, because the computer-controlled Van Damme is dressed all in green. But what is quite unnerving is I keep seeing a figure skulking around in the background. Who is that mysterious person? There he is again. Who is that? Well, this game is a lot more polished. Now do bear in mind I am running this on an emulator, but you can see that it is clearly a much more beefed up version than our PlayStation buddy. And you can see the incredibly detailed muscles ripple and Van Damme slick back his hair every time he wins, which is a bonus in my book. If you have the benefit of running the arcade version of this game, I would make sure that you do this, because it is still Street Fighter and the PlayStation didn't do a bad job, but this is way more fun. Universal Soldier never officially came out on the Super Nintendo, so this is an unreleased prototype, and keen gamers will spot that this bears a remarkable similarity to Turrican. But this is because Turrican 2 was originally intended to come out for most popular consoles as well as computers, but the game was soon rebranded once the game developers acquired the movie rights, and then they messed about a bit with the sprites, turning the character into a tiny Van Damme, and also changed a lot of the levels, so you could feel like you were now in a movie. I'm not entirely convinced, and this requires a bit more investigation. Turrican and Turrican 2 did make it onto the Super Nintendo, and as you can see here, they are very similar and a lot better. And let's see how a tiny Van Damme gets on by being shrunk even more and turned into 4 glorious shades of green for Nintendo's diminutive cartridge-based fun slab of plastic. Oh dear, this music appears instantly grating. I mean, I know the Game Boy isn't as powerful as Super Nintendo, but please spare me from this game. I can't really tell who I am or who the enemies are, as we look exactly the same. I am trying. And I am running this on an emulator, so it would have looked even worse on the Game Boy back in the day. So who knows how you would have ever got anywhere at all in this game, because I'm having great difficulty even when it's nice and crisp. Yeah, this music's no good. No good at all. Universal Soldier did also come out for the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis though, and very similar to the SNES version, but the music is slightly different, and I'm not sure if I like this music or not. But really, I think you're best off playing Turrican. I suppose the music isn't too bad. It is quite dramatic, and it is trying to be a bit more movie-like, I guess. But the character just looks nothing like Van Damme. And I can't stop thinking about Turrican and how I'd rather be playing that. I mean, this first level, for example, is completely different to what levels are in the Turrican games. This is supposed to be part of the movie, but it doesn't feel like a movie. It just feels like a bit of a knockoff Turrican game. Which reminds me, I really should watch Knockoff as well, very shortly. Maybe I'll watch it after this review. That might be a better use of my time. So yes, if you had erased your entire memory and only planted the memory of this game in your mind, this may not be bad. And certainly if I'd have unwrapped this on one Christmas morning and put it in my Mega Drive, I probably would have had a lot of fun. But the trouble is, I do have my mind, and I can remember, and I do remember, the Turrican games. So, I think I will go with those. Timecop actually started out its life as a comic series by Dark Horse Comics, before later becoming a monumental star vehicle for Van Damme. There is also a Timecop 2, but Van Damme is not in that, so I'm not going to talk about that. But what I am going to talk about is this SNES game. I was mildly excited for this game when it first came out, and upon closer inspection and revisiting, I was still mildly excited to have the opportunity to control a digitized Max Walker. This game takes place after the events of the film, but I don't think it matters if you have seen the film, but I would implore you to watch it, as you're in for a treat. Good to see you can do the traditional Van Damme high kick though. That's not actually Van Damme though. He did not give permission to be digitized, so that's already made me slightly miserable. And the music is not really giving me a real feeling of wanting to be here. I mean, why are the samples shouting FBI and get on with it? I thought you worked for the TEC, the Time Enforcement Commission. And why can't we have some Van Damme samples instead? Or anything that makes a bit more sense? Where are we supposed to be also? Some dilapidated building, but with loads of working lifts and moon-suited bad guys floating about? Why is Van Damme constantly rocking and moving also? I guess we are supposed to be in the TEC building in 2005, where some mad scientist has taken over. I was going to read the introductory scroll, but it went on for too long and seemed too convoluted to really care about. Slip and slide your way through endless screens of monotony, shooting past white men until you can fathom where the exit is, to be greeted with another very similar level to the last, but just dipped in a different colour gradient. I give up. If you do want to see more of this game, then I would advise you to cheat. Press A, B, X, Y, A, B, X, Y, start at the title screen. You will then hear a shout and be treated to a menu with level select. I have really tried my best to enjoy this game. Even doing lots and lots of high kicks has not helped me gain any future enjoyment from this. This is an absolute bland mess. And even with the cheat and going further in time into different levels, it gets more colourful, but it does not get more exciting. And what on earth is this animation glitch? This is no good. No good at all. Level 4, German. Not Germany, German. They're not even trying now, are they? You never get enough bullets either. Skipping to the last level now, and I find Van Damme in a jetpack. Well, I don't remember this in the film. I must have missed this bit. I must have gone out for a small biscuit and a cup of tea. I mean, I've heard of artistic license, but this is a real stretch. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. Is this the bad guy? There may be one last glimmer of hope, for this game was due to also be released on the Sega Mega CD. And yes, I thought I'd seen that on my arcade machine. I really love that sound. Comforting. Love that sound too. Oh, that doesn't look like Van Damme. Probably more based on the comic books, I guess. Not a great start. Oh well. Let's see what awaits us. Well, the music certainly pumped up a bit more, utilising the strengths of the compact disc to give us some exciting 80s rock music. Hang on a minute, this is the last level that I was just playing on the SNES. I guess this game is still unfinished on my arcade version. As I say, this is not an official release anyway, but I was hoping to not have to endure the jetpack level again, because I have no idea what I'm supposed to be shooting at. I presume it's that man whizzing about, but nothing really seems to happen when I shoot at him. I just keep flying and oh yeah, there he is again. And I can't see if he's got any health that comes off him, even though I'm desperately trying to shoot at him, and I keep running out of bullets. Well, this is a disappointment, and very, very unsatisfactory. This has to be the creepiest game over screen I have ever witnessed. The game over screen could be used as a highly effective torture device. Just sit in a dark room and loop this over and over and over and over again. Van Damme was not in Mortal Kombat, but he could have been. And if rumours are true, Mr. Van Varenberg turned down the opportunity not once, but twice. So the developers just created good old Johnny Cage, who looked a bit like him. Please remember this the next time you play Mortal Kombat. Now this is another bootleg of a NES game called Codename Viper, where they have just stuck Van Damme's mug on a cartridge and tried to pass this off as an exciting adventure starring the muscles from Brussels. You would be sorely disappointed if you picked this game up back in the day expecting some Van Damage, but if you had enough imagination, I guess you could pretend that you were indeed controlling Jean-Claude in this rather fun-filled action platform adventure. Here for its curiosity value really, not really a Van Damme game, it's just his picture on a cartridge. I hope you enjoyed that.